So today we'll be talking about overfitting in case of decision tree learning. Before that, we'll revise a few topics that we studied so far in the case of decision tree learning, and we'll discuss a brief about overfitting today. And up to that will be in your mid-semester exam in from my section. So the first two PPTs I have uploaded, that is introduction and linear regression, and part of this decision tree up to overfitting. Okay, till that will be in your mid-semester exam, that is first sessional exam. And this particular topic you can find in the machine learning book by Tom Michel. So there it is provided, so you can refer to that for reference. Okay. So in the previous lecture, there was some discussion regarding decision tree learning, in which just a minute. So there was one discussion where one of the doubt was whether the decision tree will be more inclined, more biased towards the left side or not, right? That was one doubt which was there. I suppose one of the student has that doubt. But I just want to clear one thing before we proceed, that whenever we create a decision tree, for example, here we have created a decision tree for this particular example. Okay, for a particular example. So in previous lecture, we discussed an example, if you recall. This was the example on basis of which you had to create the decision tree classifier, right? So in this, the outlook was the root branch. And after splitting on outlook, for example, after splitting on attribute outlook, after splitting on this attribute, after splitting on this particular attribute, what will happen? You will create different data set, subset data set, right? For example, D1, D2, and D3. Okay, these three data sets will be created. Screen not visible. Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. I didn't notice that I didn't share the screen. Okay. So in previous lecture, we had this discussion on decision tree learning. In decision tree learning, one of the doubt was whether the decision tree will be more inclined, more biased towards the left hand side, because we are splitting on an attribute and then we are choosing not to split on that attribute again. But that is not the case. So what will happen is you will create one data set D1, data set D2, and data set D3. Right? For example, you are splitting on an attribute outlook. Right. So based on this, for different values of outlook, will be creating three branches. For example, outlook has three values: sunny, rainy, and overcast. Okay. These three are the values that outlook can take. So we'll be creating three branches, and each of these branches will be a sub data set. Okay, subset of the original data set D. So now in these three different branches, for example, in this you are using humidity to split the data. Similarly, in D2 also you may use humidity to split the data if the information gain in this particular D2 is higher in comparison to other different attributes. Okay, and in similarly for D3 as well, you can use this same attribute to split the data, but in the same branch you cannot utilize the same attribute again. That is the main idea. Okay, so for example, if you have split it on humidity already, so you cannot again split on humidity again in the same subtree. Is it clear? Is the idea clear now? Yes. Okay, so everyone is clear now, right? So this is the main idea. So I think it was confused. I might have confused in the previous lecture. So I just want to clear this particular point here, right? So let us proceed with our next discussion today. So we discussed about Gini index in machine learning. Just a minute. Wait for 2 minutes. Okay, now it is okay. Pen tab was not writing properly. Now it is fine. Okay, so in the previous lecture, we had a discussion in two more attribute selection method. Two more attribute selection method, if you recall. We discussed about gain ratio as an attribute selection method and Gini index. Okay, and we considered that why do we use gain ratio as a method, which is also used in C4.5 algorithm of decision tree learning, and this is used in CART algorithm, which are two variants of algorithm of decision tree learning, like ID3. Okay, so in gain ratio is used because in ID3 algorithm, so in information gain we already noticed that it may be biased towards attributes which have large set of values. Okay, towards attributes which has large set of values. So in that case, it may be possible that your decision tree will be more complex. So in order to avoid that, we are using gain ratio as a method to perform the splitting of attributes. Okay, to select the best attribute. Fine. Now the second one was Gini index, which is similar to that of which is very similar to that of entropy. Okay, only this formula here in case of Gini index is different in case as compared to entropy. We also observed the graph of Gini index and entropy. So the maximum value that Gini index can take is zero point 0.5, while in entropy the maximum value that entropy can take is 1. Okay, so how will we in case of Gini index, the split, that is the split after performing, after choosing an attribute here. So here is the decision node. After choosing a attribute in the decision node, the split will be more binary. Okay, split will be binary. So for example, if you have an attribute, suppose taken for example, you have an attribute income, and the attribute can take three different values: high, low, and medium. Okay, so what will you do? Your first step will be to create the subset of all these attributes. So create subset of all these attributes, which will be high, low, and medium. Then medium, low, uh, low and sorry, medium and high, and low and high. Okay, these are the subset, except the entire subset, that is a subset with all the values that you have to eliminate, and empty subset you have to eliminate. So empty set and full subset you have to eliminate, except that you have to create subset of the entire, you have to create subset of this particular attribute values. Okay, so how will you perform the split? So for example, you will take a subset of high, low, and medium. Okay, for example, you are performing the split on income. So if one of the branch will contain values of high and low, and another branch will contain values of medium, and you will find, if you perform the split like this, what will be the Gini impurity of the system. Okay, what is the Gini impurity of the system? Then you have to again check for other cases. For example, the next case could be low on the left side and medium and high on the right side. Okay, that could be another case. And the third one could be medium and I think medium and low are remaining. Medium and low and high on the right side. Okay, so based on this, you have to perform different splits. So you will calculate the Gini impurity in each case. You will calculate Gini impurity in each case, and you will find out whichever has the lowest Gini impurity will be chosen to split the to split the particular data set. Okay, is it clear what you have to do? What you're supposed to do in the case of Gini impurity? Is it clear? Yes. Okay. So, for example, this is the case of Gini impurity. Let us see through the. Okay. What about others? Others are clear with this. Hello. Are others clear with this? What they have to do in the case of Gini impurity? Sorry, Gini index. So here it is written that let us first consider the case where A is a discrete valued attribute, okay, and A has V distinct values. So in our case, the distinct values were was having low, high, and medium. Okay, so here also that is the same example. So there are V possible values. So there are two raised to V possible subsets that can be created. So for example, low, medium, high, then possible subset could be low, medium, high, low, medium, low, high, medium, high, low, medium, and high. So you have to eliminate the entire set and the empty set you have to eliminate. And based on the remaining subset, you have to create the split. The split will always be binary. So in case of Gini index, always binary splits will be created. Always binary splits will be created. So you can choose different consideration, and you have to identify the Gini impurity of the system in the each case. So if I give you an example right now, will you be able to find out the Gini impurity of that particular attribute? Should we try right now? So let us try for this particular example. I suppose the example is visible to you. So in this case, we have age as an age is one of the attribute that we have. So I want you to find out the Gini impurity for each subset. So there will be 6 possible subsets that will be created. So you have to find out the Gini impurity in each subset. So for example, what will be the subset that you can create is similar to this one. So here we have created 6 possible subset. So you can create low, medium, and high, low, high, and medium, low, medium, high, and low. In the similarly, in case of age also, you can create similar subset. So what I want right now is you calculate the Gini impurity for 3 subsets, 3 set of branches that can be created, and find out whether you are able to perform the calculation or not. So right now I'm giving you 2 minutes for this particular data set for age attribute. Is it clear, everyone, what task you have to do right now? Yes. Okay. Okay. Try this right now. Just I'm giving you 5 minutes. Try this and let me know what is the solution that you are getting. What about others? Others are also clear with this. Okay. Okay, how to create the subsets. Okay, yes, yes. Let me tell you. So, see, in this particular example, if you can see here, um, okay, so if you see in this particular case where low, medium, and high are three possible values that that income can take. So possible subsets that has been created here is low, medium, low, high, and low, medium, and high. And we'll eliminate the entire subset, that full subset with all the values, and the empty subset, because for that we cannot create further split. If you see, for empty set we cannot create split, and for full subset also we cannot create split. So though both of them will be eliminated. So for the rest of the case, we'll create the split. For example, we have I am for example, income is the I am splitting the data set. I'm splitting the data set D on income, and one split that I'm taking, that one branch value that I'm taking is low, medium, and the another branch that I'm taking is high. Okay, so what you'll do, you will calculate for low, medium, you'll calculate positive samples and negative samples, and here also in high you will calculate positive and negative samples, right, as we did in entropy. In the case of entropy, how we calculated, in the similar manner you have to do in this case, only the formula is different. The formula for Gini impurity is 1 minus p of I, the summation of I is equals to 1 to m the whole square, right, where p of you have to take two probabilities, that is for positive you have to take a probability value, for negative, and there is the Gini impurity value that you will find out. And then, for example, for each split you will calculate, for this you will calculate a Gini impurity, for this you will calculate a Gini impurity. So the total Gini impurity will be weight into the Gini of value with value low and high, low and medium, plus weight into Gini with value high. Okay, so this will be the total Gini impurity for that particular attribute. In similar manner, like we did in entropy, if you go, yes, in the case of entropy also we multiply the weight, right? So in the similar manner you have to do for this also, and then you have to calculate difference of the Gini. So you will subtract the Gini impurity of the entire system, so minus the Gini impurity of that particular attribute. So whichever value gives the higher value will be considered to split the data set. That particular attribute will be considered to split the data set. Okay, is it clear? The entire process. Okay, fine. So now try for this and let me know what is the answer that you are getting. By creating. So in this case, I'm asking you for age as an attribute. I'm asking you to split the data set with age as an attribute. We have three set of values here for age also. So what you'll do, you will create three set of subsets. Okay, 1, 2, and 3, with one having low, high, and medium, medium, high, and low, and low, medium, and high. Okay. And for each you calculate what is the Gini impurity. I suppose everyone is clear what you have to do. Yes or no? For each set of subsets? Yes? Okay. Now try for this and let me know what is the answer. Oh, sorry. Yes. So anyone solve for any one of the subsets? Okay. Okay, youth and middle aged with senior you are getting 0.4444. Okay. So this is with the weight. After multiplying the weight, you are getting this. Okay, you haven't multiplied the weight. So how did you perform the this one? So I suppose just a minute. Okay, 1/3, 2/3. Mm, so and see how we are supposed to do is let me tell you, youth and middle aged. Okay, so and the second is senior, right? So you have to check for youth and middle age how many tuples, total tuples are there for youth and middle age. There are total 9 tuples, right? There are total 9 tuples for youth and middle age, and for senior there will be 5. So for this, first this will be a data set D1, this will be a data set D2, because we'll be splitting on income like this, right? So here data set D1 will be created, here data set D2 will be created, right? So now for data set D1, check how many of youth and middle age are falling in yes, and how many of youth and middle age are falling in no. And similarly for senior, select check how many of them are falling in yes and how many of them are falling in no. Just let me know the numbers. Okay, there are total 6 yes, yes, total 6 yes, and there will be 3 no. In this case, there are yes, no is 3, right? And in senior, there is 3 yes and 2 no. Okay. So now the Gini impurity for this will be 1 minus 6 by 10 the whole square plus 3 by 10 the whole square. Okay. Similarly, the Gini impurity in this case will be 1 minus 3 by 5 total number of tuples. Sorry, 9. Okay, okay. I'm sorry. Where is this? 3 by 9, 6 by 9 and 3 by 9. And here it will be 3 by 5 plus 2 by 5 the whole square. So these are the Gini impurities of individual. Now the after doing this you will be calculating the weighted sum. Okay, weighted sum, the total weighted sum will be the weight, that is d1 by total d into Gini impurity of d1 plus d2 by total d into Gini impurity of d2. Okay, this will be a total Gini impurity. Okay, is it clear? Yes, 9 by 14. There are total 14 cases, so it will be 9 by 14, 9 by 14 and 5 by 14. Okay, okay, is it clear? Why 10? Oh, sorry. Yes, Keval, I have corrected it. 9. It is 9, right? Okay, now it is clear how to calculate, how to do the process. Is it clear to everyone or not? Yes. So can you find out what is the values that you are getting? Just tell me the value after doing this particular calculation. This value. So others are also getting, those who are not replying in this chat, I suppose they are also getting this particular solution. Okay. Yes, 0.45, right. 5 by 7. Okay, yes. Is it 0.45? 0.71? No. No, 0.45 was correct, I think, Janil. I think answer is 0.45. Yes. For age, for splitting on 5 by 7 is 0.71, right? But check for this, Keval, there must be some small mistake. Yes. Just check this. So everyone is clear with the calculation, right? Just be sure that you are doing appropriate calculation. So for this youth and middle age and senior, the value is 0.45. So similarly, you have to calculate for rest of the cases, that youth and senior and middle age, senior and youth. Okay, that is how you will be calculating. That is this clear to everyone, right? Okay. So I'm giving you 1 more minute now, and after that I'll proceed with the next point. Uh, Okay. Yes. Shall we start with the next point now? Okay. Fine. Uh, uh, Yes, right. Same way you can also calculate on income and on student. There are only two cases, so there is no need of creating subsets here, right? But in credit rating also we have through two cases only, fair and excellent. So here also no need of creating a subset. But in case of income also you need to create three subsets. That is high, medium, and low. Three values we are having. So we'll be creating appropriate subsets and then we'll be performing calculation. Okay, is it clear? Right. Okay, so now the next point is overfitting. But before proceeding with the overfitting, just I want to tell you whenever there is continuous value in your data set, continuous values in your data set, at that time you have to identify a splitting point. Okay, at that time you have to identify a splitting point. So whenever there is a continuous value, you cannot split on entire, create different branches for each set of values. In that case, you have to identify a splitting point, and for after calculating the splitting point, you have to calculate the information gain. Okay. So, for example, there is this case. For example, let us consider this particular example that I'm stating. So you have 40, 48, 60, 72, 80, and 90, and the classes are no, no, yes, 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 and no. Okay. So if you have a data set like this, but suppose it is right now it is actually it is sorted in ascending order, but it may not be sorted in ascending order. So in that case, first step that you have to do is sort the data in ascending order. Sort the data in ascending order, and then to identify the splitting point, to identify the threshold, you have to consider 2 points, and you have to consider those 2 points where there is sudden change in the class. So if you see, there is no and no, but there is a sudden change in the class. After no, there is a yes class. Okay, so you will consider these 2 points to identify a threshold. Similarly, yes and no, so there is a sudden change in the class again, so you will consider these 2 points as well to identify the class. So the threshold value after using this, you have to 48 plus 60 by 2, you have to consider the average of these two. So this will be something 54, I think. And in this case, the threshold value will be 85. Okay. Are you getting? So this is how you will calculate the threshold value. For now, each threshold value, you will calculate information gain. Okay. So now you are splitting. So for example, you will be splitting greater than equals to 54. So all the values which are less than 54 will be on the left side of the branch. All the value will be greater than 54 will be on the right side of the branch. And you have to split the data, the entire data that is given to you in the two branches. So here data set D1, which is a subset of D, and data set D2 will be a subset of D. Similar manner, you have to calculate for data set D1, you have to calculate yes cases, no cases. D2, you have to calculate yes cases, no cases. And based on that, you will calculate the entropy of this, and in the final, the weighted entropy. Okay. And you will subtract that from the entropy of the entire system to calculate the information gain for this particular threshold value. Okay. Is it clear how to calculate for in the case of continuous valued attribute? Yes or no? Is this steps clear? Okay. Is everyone clear with this? So just note this particular example down. So later you can try on this to perform the calculation. So everyone is clear, right? So after this, so this was one point that I wanted to discuss. So after this, let us start with overfitting in case of decision tree learning. Uh, and in it has data. Okay, then how to split? Yes, you have to consider. So for example, how many splits will be there? 10 plus 20 by 2. Then next will be, yes, you have to consider all the cases. In this case, in this particular case, you have to consider all the splits, and then you have to perform the split, and whichever gives you minimum information gain, that you have to consider. So see, I think there is all the change point. Yes, all the change point you have to consider. Wherever there is a sudden change in the class, that you have to consider. Okay, so here there was only two cases of sudden changes, no to yes and yes to no, right? So we consider these two splits, but in this case, right, you have to consider all the splits, right? All right, is it clear? Okay, is everyone clear with this? So shall we proceed? Okay. Now, overfitting in case of decision tree learning. So, overfitting and underfitting in case of decision tree learning will be based on the depth of the tree. Okay, depth of the tree will be based on the depth of the tree. So, for example, let us take this particular example that I have noted down. So, for example, consider if you have, there are two cases in which the overfitting can occur. For example, we have noise in the data, and your machine learning model is learning the noise along with the normal data set. Then there is a possibility of overfitting, that it will perform well on the training set, but whenever you are passing a test set, it will not perform well on the test set. Right. Second case is you have very less training data, your training data is very less, and it may be possible that it is creating an approximately good model in case of training, but whenever you are passing a new set of unknown values which you haven't seen in the case of training set, it will not perform well in the case of test set. Okay, these are the two cases in which overfitting can occur. So overfitting in case of decision tree learning will be a function of depth of the tree. So, for example, consider this particular data set which we have taken. So, in this particular data set, where we are trying to classify the mammals with yes or no labels, whether they are mammals or not, non-mammal data. So here, wherever there is an asterisk symbol, those are noisy data. Means they should have been yes class, but they have been classified as no here in the training data set. So there is mislabeling. So whenever you are creating a data set with this particular data set, you are creating a decision tree learning, there is a possibility that you create a model with complex data, right? With complex decision tree, you will create a complex model. But so whenever you are classifying your test data, so here is your test data, so it will do misclassification in case of with the model that you have created, right? So this is one case of overfitting in case of decision tree learning, where it is learning the data too well. Okay, learning the data too well. So whenever it is learning the data too well, it will create too many depths. For example, it will create many branches and the depth will be very high, and it is trying to learn the data set very well. So in this case, whenever you have noisy data, there is a possibility that the data set will be learned too well, and it will learn the noise also in from the data set. So in that case, there is a possibility of overfitting, or if your training data is very small, there is a possibility of overfitting. Okay, these are the two cases when overfitting can occur in your decision tree learning. Is that clear to everyone? Yes. Is everyone clear with this? Okay. Now, how to overcome overcome overfitting? Overfitting in case of decision tree learning. So there are two cases. One is pruning of the tree. Pruning of the tree. Okay, pruning of the tree is one of the case which we will be discussing. One is pre-pruning and one is post-pruning. Okay, what happens in case of pre-pruning is we are automatically, for example, whenever you are creating a model with the decision tree classifier model in Python, you will be having certain hyperparameters which you will be setting. So for example, in the case of pre-pruning, we will be assigning the max depth of the tree. Okay, we'll be assigning a max depth of the tree, will not allow the data to overfit the model. Will not allow the data to overfit the model means will, for example, I'm setting the max depth of the tree as 3. That is, I'm stopping the creation of the tree before it overfits the data. So I'm setting a stopping criteria by myself, that the maximum depth should be 3. So beyond that, the tree should not grow. So I'm not allowing to overfit before. So before the data set overfits the model, I'm stopping the model to overfit. So that is pre-pruning step that we can do in case of decision tree learning. Okay, this is one step that we can do. But one drawback that of this is we may not know what the optimal depth is, right? We may not know where to stop the creation of the decision tree learning. Yes or no? We cannot know by prior information that where to stop creating the decision tree. Yes or no? So this is one drawback of this particular case. For that, we'll come to post pruning method to avoid overfitting. Okay, so first step is clear, what we can do in the case of pre pruning method. Yes or no? Is everyone clear with the first one? Yes, okay. So I suppose so. Now, in case of post pruning, so we have certain in case of let's see. So in case of whenever you are training the model with the Python learning, you have max leaf node, max sample leaf, and max depth. These are the three parameters that you can set to pre-prune the data set, pre-prune your decision tree learning. For example, you can set maximum leaf nodes that you want to allow in your decision tree, maximum sample leaf. That is, you will be setting that if the sample particular data sample in a particular leaf node that is created is 30, it should be beyond 30 in order to perform the split. If it is not beyond 30, then you may not split the data set further. And you also set the max depth, that is maximum depth of the tree should be 3. So beyond that, the tree should not be split. So it will create less complex decision tree, and it will try to avoid overfitting. Okay, before so you are pre-pruning, that is you are avoiding the overfitting before it is occurring in the data set. Now you have some of the post pruning methods. Okay, post pruning methods to avoid overfitting. So one post pruning method is reduce error pruning. So everyone is clear with this? First pre-pruning method is everyone is clear, right? Okay. Now reduce error pruning, in this case what we'll do is, so let us take this particular example. So in case of reduce error pruning is, what we'll do, remove the subtree. For example, you will take different subtrees from a fully grown tree and you will replace it with a leaf node. So for example, the leaf is labeled with, and this leaf is labeled with most frequent class among the subtree that is being replaced. So for example, this particular subtree you are going to replace with the leaf node. So you will replace this particular subtree with the most frequent class that is occurring in this particular subtree. For example, the most frequent class here is class B that is occurring. So if we have certain other cases, for example, there is certain case in this Outlook itself, let us take the example. So you have sunny, rainy, and overcast, and you are splitting again on humidity, where yes and no is the value. So here, if you are trying to, for example, you are going to prune this particular subtree here. This particular subtree you are going to prune, and you will be replacing this subtree with the most common class that is occurring in the particular subtree. So here the most common class, there is no most common class, there is equal number of yes and equal number of no. But in this particular example, there was a most common class which was class B. Okay, so we can replace with class B. So what can we do in these particular cases? Once we replace with yes and check the accuracy of the model, that is accuracy or the error on test data, we'll check. And once we replace with no and check the error in the model after replacing. So whichever gives you least error, that will be your that will place. For example, no, by replacing with the no class, the error is less, so we'll keep the leaf node as no here. Are you getting what I'm trying to say here? Yes or no? So what we are supposed to do in post reduce error pruning, is everyone clear this? Yes or no? Hello? Okay, I'll repeat. So in reduce error pruning, what we are supposed to do is, so here as an example that we have stated, we'll be removing a particular subtree. For example, in reduce error pruning, we'll allow the data set to overfit. We'll create and we'll allow it to overfit, and after the overfitting has occurred, we'll prune the tree. That is, we'll cut some of the subtrees by after the overfitting has occurred on the particular data set. So for example, this is the tree that has been created by your data set. Now we'll choose different subtrees and prune the tree that has been created. For example, this particular subtree you will select. Okay, and what you will do, you will replace this particular subtree with the most frequent class that is occurring in this particular subtree. So in this case, the most frequent class is class B. Okay, so there are 2 leaf nodes with class B as in value. So if there were 4 or 5 leaf node with class A as in value, so class A would have been replaced here instead of class B, right? So here we'll be pruning this particular subtree, replace it with the most frequent class that is occurring in that subtree. So we'll replace with class B, Now what you will do, you will check on the validation data. So you will divide the data set into training set and validation set. Now we'll check the accuracy of this particular model on the validation set. So if the accuracy of the validation set is improving after pruning that particular tree, subtree, so then you will continue with the pruning that you have done. Otherwise, you will not continue with the pruning. You will keep the subtree as it is. Is it clear now what we are trying to do here in the case of post pruning? Yes. What about others? Others are also clear with this? Yes. So what are we supposed to do is, in the case of post pruning, we'll choose a particular subtree. We'll allow the data. First, we'll allow the data to overfit. Okay. Overfitting, after the overfitting has occurred, now we'll continue. Now we'll prune the tree. Okay. Now we'll split, that is, we'll cut down some of the subtrees, right? Okay, so while doing that, what we'll do, for example, we'll choose a subtree, we'll replace it with the most common class that is present in that subtree, and if after performing the pruning, if the accuracy on the validation data set has improved, then and only then we'll continue with the pruning. Otherwise, we'll not prune that particular subset. Okay, so in this particular example I was stating is, for example, if we have a particular tree like this outlook, and we have performed the split on sunny, rainy, and windy. Sunny, rainy, and overcast. And suppose here we have created the dataset D1, D2, and D3. And now suppose for dataset D1 again we have split into humidity high and low. Okay, and here we have classes yes and no. Okay, suppose we are splitting this particular subtree, suppose we are pruning this particular subtree. So now in this case we do not have a most common leaf class. Okay, most common leaf class is not available here. We have equal number of yes and equal number of no, right? We have one yes and one no. If there were two yes, one no, then it is possible that we'll be replacing with yes. But since here there is only one yes and one no node, so what we'll do, we'll replace ones with yes and check the accuracy on validation set. We'll replace one with no and check the accuracy on validation set, and whichever gives you higher validation set, so validation, higher improvement, that will be that particular label you will consider in replacement. Or if it does not improve, if both the cases does not improve the validation set accuracy, then you will not consider pruning that particular subtree. Okay, is it clear now? Yes, is everyone clear with this post pruning method? So this particular method is reduce error pruning. Okay. Now let us see one more case. That is another one which we have is rule post pruning. Okay, rule post pruning. Okay, I suppose everyone is clear with the first one. This is the last one that we'll be discussing, and then your overfitting in case of decision trees will further discuss after the mid semester maybe. But up to this, it will be there for up to reduce error pruning. It will be there in your mid semester, in your sessional exam. Okay, up to this it will be there. So we may not consider this one. Okay, so everyone is clear up to this, right? Right. And if you have any, so you can refer to this decision tree learning from machine learning by Tom Michel. So you can consider that book for reference. In that you have up to, I think gain information is present in that particular book. Gain ratio. Gain ratio consideration is there. So may not be, Gini index is not present in that particular book. For that I might upload a PPT for your reference for the calculation and based. For that I might upload the PPT. But rest of the things you can refer from the textbook. Okay, is it clear? Yes or no? Okay, so the last one is that rule post pruning, which is one more method. In this case, what we'll do is we'll create rules for each of the branch. Each of the branch will create a rule. For example, we have let us take this particular example. Okay. Okay, Okay, for so let us take this particular example where we have outlook, sunny, rainy, and overcast, and we have humidity and yes and no, yes and no, and here there is yes. Sorry, just I'm just considering a case. Okay, just windy and yes and no. So what we'll do for each of this branch, for each of the branch, we'll create a rule, if else rule. So for example, if outlook is equals to sunny and humidity is equals to yes, then this is the precondition. The post condition will be to classify into yes class. So if outlook equals to sunny, and humidity is equals to no, then post condition will be no. So in the similar cases, we'll create if else precondition and post condition, that is rules. We'll create rules for each of the branch. So how many branches we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 branches we have, and we'll create rules for each of the branch. Then what we'll do, we'll prune these rules. For example, what we'll do, for example, let us prune. For example, outlook is equals to sunny and um, and humidity is equals to high. Okay, this is one of the rule that we have, and this is a precondition that we have. So what we'll do, we'll prune this particular rule. That is, we'll create two rules out of this. That is, outlook is equals to sunny and classify into no, and outlook equals to humidity and classify into no. Now we'll check for the accuracy. After doing this, we'll check the accuracy of the model. After pruning this particular rule, we'll check the accuracy, and if the accuracy for this particular is higher than in comparison to this one, then we'll continue to prune. Otherwise, we'll stop the pruning. That is, we'll not continue with the pruning operation. Is it clear what we are doing here? Yes or no? Hello? Hello? Is everyone clear with what we are doing here? Okay. See, what we are doing is, so for example, we have for each branch we'll create rules. For example, here how many rules will be created? 5 rules will be created. Outlook equals to sunny and humidity is equals to high, and we have classification into yes. Outlook equal to sunny, humidity equal to low, and classify into no. Okay, so for each we will create a rule. For example, we have created outlook equals to sunny and humidity is equals to high, and then it is classified into yes. So now we'll prune this particular rule. Pruning this particular rule means we'll create two rules. We'll create outlook equal to sunny and directly classify into yes, and humidity is equals to high and directly classify into yes. Okay, now after pruning this particular rule, that is, we have an accuracy for this particular rule, right? We have an accuracy for this particular rule by on the validation set. After pruning, that is removing this particular condition, we'll check that if this is increasing the accuracy on the validation set, or is this increasing the accuracy on the validation set. If any one of the rule is increasing the accuracy on the validation set, then we'll continue to prune. Otherwise, we'll stop the pruning. Okay, is it clear? Now, is it clear to everyone? Is this one clear? What about others? Janil, Keval, Rikin, is it clear to all of you? Okay. Okay, fine. So this is another one method that we have. So the only difference with this one and the previous one is that in this we are pruning the roots. So this may be possible. In that we were removing the entire subtree. Entire subtree was removed, but here only the rules will be removed. So for example, we may remove humidity is equal to yes, but we may keep humidity equal to no. The particular branch will be kept. Okay. But in that case, the entire subtree was removed. But in this case, only the rules will be removed. Okay. So even if this is not clear, this particular part I may not ask in the exam. So we'll keep up to reduce error pruning in your mid semester exam, up to reduce error pruning. Okay, so up to that I suppose everyone is clear. So whatever we have discussed in decision tree so far is, we discussed the ID3 algorithm. In that, we discussed the information gain method to identify the best attribute. We discussed two more other attribute selection method, that was Gini index and gain ratio. Okay, which is gain ratio is used in C4.5 algorithm and Gini index is used in CART algorithm. Then we discussed how can overfitting take place in case of decision tree learning because of the noise in the data, and maybe the number of tuples is less. These are the two cases. And one of the method we studied is pre-pruning, and in post-pruning we studied reduced error pruning and rule post-pruning. Post sorry, reduced error pruning and the rule post-pruning. Okay, these are the two methods that we studied. Right, up to this I suppose everyone is clear, right? No, nobody has any doubt. Okay, yes, is everyone clear with this? So in your mid-semester examination, that is your sessional exam, you will be having MCQ style questions. So be prepared for that and try to perform well. We also have a lab tomorrow. So if you have any doubts today, so try to study these topics from your textbook. If you have any doubt, we can discuss those doubts tomorrow as well. So try to solve those problems, and if you feel that you have any difficulty, we can discuss tomorrow as well, since you have a lab session tomorrow, right? So in that also we discussed before the exam, right? So okay, is I'm ending the meeting. Fine. So we see tomorrow. We meet tomorrow. I suppose everyone fill the attendance which I had shared. So I'm sharing this again, just for those who haven't. Okay, fine. I'll be ending the meeting now. So we'll see tomorrow, right?